What up, Naughty Steppers? A very ill Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the new EP from Pane Mua, released on Audio Records, Bipolar. Raphael Lott is back with his debut audio EP, and first since 2017, having released projects in the past for Most Addictive and Firepower, as well as singles for Never Say Die, and more recently, Crow's Nest and of course Audio. Someone who I wouldn't say has released loads since blasting onto the scene in 2014, due in large part to him being a jazz lecturer on the side, but whose style upon hearing it for the first time left easily one of the most profound impacts on me of any producer I've ever heard. Very squelchy, contorted, at times glitchy dubstep of the earthiest variety, but which at the same time was extremely kooky, weird, at points even psychedelic. Recently he's gone down shinier, more metallic routes while releasing for Audio, but I wondered what side of him we would get exactly for his debut EP on the label. And I think it's safe to say that with Bipolar, we get Mr. Lott honing in on that more sinewy, metallic approach. A collection of songs that is for me his most accomplished and well-rounded yet. This is thanks in large part to the sound design of this EP, characteristically rich and earthy from him, but he seems to have reached another level with his synth usage here, making his sound much more appealing than before. In essence, a lot of the sound choice on Bipolar is very good. Whether it's the incredibly sharp, shiny sounds that take centre stage in the second drop of Busy, or the properly squelchy, acidic sounds that make up the first progression in Antisocial Media. You also have the growls at the bottom of the drops in Pressure, giving them a very imposing feel, as well as the unravelling gurgles in Throw It Down with Red Axe, which are just so visceral and juicy. Oh god. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that there is outstanding synth usage in all four songs here. It's one of those projects where I could continually pick out sounds that are seriously impressive. Not only sounding awesome in themselves, but also fitting into the general context of their respective tunes. Not to say that Bipolar is completely squeaky clean on that front, there are a couple not so favourable sounds on show. I love the way that the fake out drops in Antisocial Media kinda swallow you whole before spitting you back out again, but many sounds in the first drop do feel withdrawn and held back, as if they need unleashing and setting free.
Antisocial Media.
Needs a little bit more. At a push, I could also say that the main sounds used in the drops of Pressure get a bit grating after a while, but really that's me being facetious. Those are pretty much the only ones that stood out to me in a negative way. The general gist here being that they are far outweighed by the wealth of ridiculously ear-catching noises and effects. And it isn't just the sounds, but the flows and rhythms as well that make this music so gripping. In particular, the opener Busy, which for me exhibits the best understanding of space and timing of the four. Notably in the progressions where more sounds are used, but the energy and movement just picks itself up with it. Must say though, I would have welcomed those sections being a little bit longer. This translates in a structural way also, as Bipolar doesn't have too many moments of respite, which helps maintain flow. The midsection in Throw It Down being an exception, however, an extension of the hazy introduction on that track, which I find necessary for the final cut, lulling us into a full sense of security before hitting us with one final wave of dubstep. There are a couple of moments of real disruption on the EP that don't help the flow of it at all. For example, the beginning of the second drop in Pressure. I also feel like one or two of these cuts could have been expanded on at the point that they end, but again, these are quite minuscule remarks on a project where generally the flows and rhythms are very juicy. I just wanted to dive into the Redux collaboration a little bit more, mostly because of how, as a pairing, it's so unexpected and interesting. The more I think about it though, regardless of how wildly different their styles are, It's a collab that makes a lot of sense. The percussion throughout here is so meaty, oh my gosh, just ridiculously thick and chunky. And even though the dubstep doesn't do that much ideas-wise, the design of it fully wraps itself around your brain. It's extremely alive, earthy, gets right under your skin, and I've touched on them already, but the unraveling growls are pure filth. It's just the way they make something so guttural without loads going on. Very well done. Not so much the transition into the second drop, but we'll let that slide. Elsewhere, I'm really enjoying the confrontational feel to the drops in Pressure, which are more like an affront than anything, bounding towards you. Really primal attitude to this one, a la Sudden Death, leading me to wonder where this Pane Mua came from in the best way possible. Anti-social media perhaps develops the best dubstep-wise, but more of note for me would have to be the mix of the instrumental and NJ's vocal. They blend really well, very natural chemistry going on, and some insightful lyrics on offer as well. Overall though, I must say this is one of the most enjoyable EPs I've heard this year. Lott's sound used to be one that I found unique, alluring, mystical, without being truly knockout music, but he's taken it to another level on Bipolar and got closer to bringing that banger element more and more into his delivery. There are definitely points that are crying out for his sound to explode just that bit more, but in terms of what I used to know his sound as and what's presented here, that development is enough to enjoy this EP a lot. It's great to hear him go down even gnarlier avenues with his style, because I think it deserves it in a way. He had the weirdness and experimental design on lock, and he creates worlds in a similar way with this EP, but to bring that savage aspect in gives it another appeal altogether, and will bring many new people to his sound. It can be rough around the edges in terms of execution, but the stuff that is sharply cut is outstandingly so. An EP not completely about special ideas, even though there are a fair few of them on Bipolar, but more about special sounds and the definition and conjoining of them, making it one of my favourites of this year so far. Now in terms of my favourite on the EP, then I think I would have to go with Pressure. I just love the energy and full-on delivery of the drops here, really gets you going. And in terms of recommendations, if you enjoyed the EP, then I would look at Sudden Death, Ulysile, Samplifier, Guillotine, and also the audio compilations from last year. Some similar approaches in there. And so there we have it, my thoughts on the new Pane Mua EP by Bipolar. What did you guys make of it? Do you have a favourite track from the four? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, then be sure to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell along the way, social media accounts in the description box down below. For some other dubstep related videos on the channel, check out the link right here. And lastly, if it's naughty, then you know guys, so be sure, as always, to keep it naughty and stay safe. And I shall see all of you legends in the next one. Peace out.